everyone, thank you so much for visiting the ScrapbookPal's YouTube channel. My name is Terry from Cloudy Coral Designs, and today's card I wanted to share a fun pop-up surprise card that I created using some products from my favorite things. So let's get started. Okay, so to start off my card, I went in with my favorite things clear stamps called Winged Wonders, and I stamped that onto white cardstock using an alcohol-friendly ink. I did stamp that twice onto the cardstock to get a good impression. Now that all the images have been stamped out, I went in with some Copic markers to color in all of the butterflies. All of the Copic colors that I am using will be listed on screen as well as linked down below in the description. So for the first butterfly, I started off using R05 and R46. For the coloring process, I'm not doing anything too fancy. Since the line images are pretty small, you don't need to do a lot of fancy blending. So I'm just going in with basic colors and just basic blending. So now I'm going in with shades of yellow and oranges, and I started off with YR16, YR18, YR68, Y35, and Y13. Again, I'm just doing very basic blending here. Okay, now for shades of greens, I'm going in with G05 and G28. So for this card, I wanted the inside to be very bright, lots of pops of color. So I decided to go with a rainbow theme. And so the last color here, actually not the last color, the last few colors. I'm going in with B28, BV08, and V15. So like I mentioned earlier, since the inside of the card is going to have the pop-up surprise, I wanted the inside to be very bright and colorful. So I wanted to go with the rainbow theme. So using the same color palette here as this butterfly, I went ahead and colored all of the others in as well. So I went ahead and provided all of the Copic marker colors here down below. And again, I'm not doing anything fancy with the shading or blending, just using basic colors and simple blending. So again, the colors that I use here are Y35, Y13, R05, R46, G05, G28, V15, BV08, B18, YR68, YR16, and YR18. Okay, so now that the coloring process has been completed, I went ahead and off screen, I used the coordinating dies and ran that through my die cutting machine. And I wanted to add a little bit of interest to the butterflies. So going in with a white gel pen, I added highlights and details all over the butterflies. Okay, so let's talk about the inside of the card. This is where the pop-up mechanism is going to be, and I wanted to create the background for it. So going in with my Lawn Fawn stencil, I wanted to create clouds. I started off by taping one side of the card, and using my blending brush, I went in with a blue color from Catherine Pooler ink and applied that onto my card. So I wanted to create a scene of clouds here. And I'm not doing anything too special here. I do like the look of like the darker spots here and there. So I went in and added more inks just to the edges of the card panel. Then once that was completed, I felt like I needed a little bit of ink splatters. So going in with a gold paint, I splattered that throughout the card. And now that that area has dried off, I went ahead and removed the pink tape, and I did the same thing onto the other side. But here I'm just going at an angle. I only wanted the clouds to be at the bottom portion of this side. So using my blending brush and the same blue ink, I went in and added that onto the card. And gold splatter all throughout. So to create the pop-up mechanism, I wanted it to have clouds as well. So I'm using white cardstock here and I'm going in with the same blue ink and the same stencil. And I'm just creating a little area with clouds. Then going in with my favorite things, pop-up surprise die, I ran that through my die cutting machine. And of course I added some gold splatters onto it as well. Okay, so for the pop-up mechanism here, once you run that through your die cutting machine, it does score all the little areas that needs to get folded. So going in with my bone folder, I went in and just kind of reinforced the score lines. So now to adhere this piece to my card, I am using double-sided tape here and I apply that to each of the folded ends. Before I adhere it to the blended panel here, I want to make sure that the middle score line is lined up with the middle score line of the inside of the card. You can see how I'm double checking that by folding the top piece over. And once I was completely happy with that, I went ahead and removed the double-sided tape on one side so it stuck to one side of the card, and then remove it on the opposite side so I could adhere to the second side of the card. And there is a pop-up surprise. So to add on to the pop-up surprise, I cut a little piece of acetate out. It's about a little under 2 inches. And I added double-sided tape on the bottom of the acetate strip and adhere that behind the pop-up piece. And then I went in and applied double-sided tape on one of the butterflies and adhere that onto the other end of the acetate. Then using liquid adhesive, I went in and adhered the other butterflies throughout the card panel. Okay, so let's talk about the card front. I wanted to keep it pretty simple since the inside of the card is where the big wow factor happens, right? So going in with black ink, I just stamped some of the butterflies throughout the card front and left a little open area in the center. To fill in that center area, I am going in with my favorite things, Spell Anything alphabet dies, and die cutting the word hello. I like to die cut that a few times and layer it over one another. So before I do that, I am going in with some Copic markers, the same color palette as the butterflies, and going in and coloring one of each letters. So the letter H, I went in with the red tones, and the letter E, I'm going in with yellow and orange. The letter L, I'm using some of the green shades. The second letter L, I'm going in with some blue shades, and the letter O, I'm using purple. The colors on the outside of the card front is going to help tie in what's going on in the inside. So I went ahead and layered each letters together with liquid adhesive, and then I went ahead and applied that on top of the card panel. Okay, so the inside of the card, I felt like it needed a secondary sentiment. So I went in with one of my stamp set from My Favorite Things and stamped that on the inside of the card panel using black ink. And to create a little more detail onto the inside of my card, I went in using a black pen and created trail lines onto the butterfly. Then going in with the white gel pen again, I just added highlights on top of the letters just to give it a little more interest. And to fill in the little empty spaces on the card front, I just went in with the same colored black ink and just added little details here and there. And this completes the card. I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and please don't forget to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. And I would love it if you came over to my channel at Cloudy Coral Designs. Okay, until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.